friends, welcome back to Easy and Different Radiology. I am Dr. Osama Ibrahim, and today our appointment number 15 from Tips and Hints. Today I want to talk about how can you describe the space occupying lesion. So let's start our presentation. First of all, what is the definition of space occupying lesions, or SOL, referring to space occupying lesion? These space occupying lesions can be developmental lesions, neoplastic lesions, inflammatory lesions, or miscellaneous. Any lesions can cause or can occupying a space is called as a space occupying lesions or SOL. When you facing this SOL anywhere as the body, how can you describe it in your report, or how can you describe it to your physician? To describe the space occupying lesions, you should including a lot of important items, and these items should be included 5S. This to easily remember the items. The first S is site and size, shape, signal. Signal here meaning according to the study, if the study's MRI is represented by signal, if is CT is represented by density, if by ultrasound is represented by echogenicity, and so on. And the shape can be oval shape, rounded shape, rectangular, and so on. Size according to the size of the lesions, or you can mention it a large size or small size or medium size. And site according to the site, which including also the side, right or left, and side, right parietal lobe, left parietal lobe, left temporal lobe, and so on. And the last of S from the 5S is the surrounding for the lesions, which meaning is a surrounding edema, surrounding pseudocapsule, or surrounding congestion, and so on. Surrounding of the lesion should be described, surrounding consolidations for the lung lesions, and so on. And the next group from the items should be included in the when describing space occupying lesions is the M group, and M group is 3M. The first one is the margin, which is very important. Items should be reported. The margins here is referred to well circumscribed lesions or ill-defined margin, and also the mass effect of the lesion, if the lesion is causing a mass effect or no mass effect, and this mass effect in the form of what? In the form of subfalcine herniations, for example, in the brain space occupying lesion. Multiplicity of the lesions is the third M. It is very important also because the multiplicity can be referred to metastasis or multiple inflammatory changes, and so on, like multiple abscesses. The last group from the describing items is two extra items. The first one is also starting by the letter E, extra or intra. Extra or intra meaning extra axial or intra-axial in the brain, extrapulmonary or intrapulmonary for the lung lesions, intraparenchymal in the liver regions, or sub hepatic, for example. So extra and intra is very important, and enhancement, which is depend on the this is optional items because it depend on the contrast given or not. You should describe these lesions as an enhanced or enhancing, and what is the pattern of enhancement, like marginal enhancement or heterogeneous enhancement, and so on. So this is the main items should be described in the describing lesions should be included, and they can be remembered by 5S3M and 2 extra. Let's practice and we give lesions, and we try to describe it according to the previous lectures notes. How can describe these lesions? I give you 10 seconds to describe it, including the all 10 items which are including 5S3M and 2 extra. If I want to describe these lesions, I can describe it as an intraaxial lesions, not dural or subdural, extradural. So it is intraaxial. This is the first item. The well circumscribed, as we see, it is well circumscribed. Oval shape. This is the shape. Space solitary. This is another S. Solitary space occupying lesions, and the size 3 by 2 centimeters. The last S is surrounding. surrounding with an edema, for example, in this case. And what about the M mass effect? It's causing a mass effect in the form of the subfalcine herniations, for example, in this case, or midline shift. And the site is one from the S also. It lays at the left parietal loop, and this is left is a side, and the parietal is a side in the brain. It has low T1 signal. This is another S, which is a signal, because in MRI you can describe it as a signal, and this is T1, a post contrast study. So what about the another extra E enhancement? It have enhancing marginal or enhancing wool. So by this way you can describe the 10 items, 5S, 3M, and 2 extra for these lesions. After you describe the lesions by this way, you can also reaching for diagnosing actually this is a cerebral abscess and have a marginal enhancement as we see here. Let's practice with another example, and this is example at that times in the abdomen, and this is abdominal contrast study which is showing the livers and have multiple lesions. How can describe these multiple lesions after 10 seconds according to the 10 ways for description, including 5S, 3M, and 2 extra during the description. This time the example in multiple lesions are not solitary, so we're starting by multiple, and these lesions, all of them are intraparenchymal, so intra, not extra, well circumscribed. All of them are well circumscribed lesions and a rounded shape, as we see here. It is rounded, space occupying lesions. The largest one, you can measure the largest one and put the size according, and surrounding by pseudocapsule or congestions according also, and this is the surrounding, another is causing a mass effect in the form of, if there are mass effect in the form of compressions of the surrounding liver vasculatures or compression of the biliary radicals causing interhepatic biliary radical dilatations and so on, according, or even so also compressions of the hepatic veins which can be arising in venous thrombus and so on. So the surrounding is very important also. And the site of the lesions widely distributed all over both hepatic loops, right and left loops, or according to the site of the lesions, you can mention it in your comment. They have heterogeneous CT density. This is a signal in MRI, and the similar for this signal is the density in the CT. So heterogeneous CT density as just example, and don't forget the enhancement as a 2 extra. One from them, you mention it in the first of the comment, and the last one according to the enhancement, because the study is with contrast, so there are heterogeneous enhancement of these lesions. So you can including now the 10 items of descriptions. After that you can easily diagnose it as a liver metastasis. I want to finish today's lessons by this last case, and this case in the pulmonary for that example, and how can you describe the lesions according to the 10 items of the descriptions as we described, 5S, 3M, and 2 extra. After 10 seconds, I will give you the answer. If you want to describe these lesions, this is solitary lesion, so you can mention it as an intra and intrapulmonary, but its margins is not well circumscribed, so it is ill-defined margins, and the rounded shape, because the lesion is rounded shape, you can mention the shape here, and solitary because it is solitary space occupying lesions. Measuring, you can measure it according to the measurement, and the surrounding lung can be mentioned it as a reticular opacity, or if there are consolidations or traction bronchitis, and according to this surrounding you can mention it also, or if there are pleural involvement or pleural lesions, so it can be mentioned in the surrounding item. And what about the mass effect? It can cause mass effect, or if there are no mass effect you can mention it cause no mass effect. And the site of the lesion lays at the right lower lobe, the posterior segment, if you want to be more proper or more specific. So the site of the lesions and the side, right side, and according to the signal here, this is CT, so it's not signal, so it is density. You can mention it as a high CT density. If the ultrasound, you can mention it is according to the echogenicity and according to the study. And what about the enhancement? The two extra is if there are contrast studies, so you can mention it as a heterogeneous enhancement or according to the type of enhancement, like when Jumawiti showing homogeneous enhancement, for example, or according to the type of enhancement. My lesson today is about how to describe the lesions. It is this lesion is lung cancer, squamous cell carcinoma, according to that site. However, my issue from my presentation today is how to describe the lesions according through 10 items, 5S, 3M, and 2 extra. Don't forget this. I hope I provide you with clear knowledge about this issue. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and have a nice day.